The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here's Brandon.
Welcome back to another week on the Brandon Peters Show, and one where I'm thrilled to welcome back to Screamcast Stephanie Crawford to discuss 1999's Drop Dead. Gorgeous Stephanie, happy to have you back.
And happy to be back.
Oh, yes, sure. We will do it all like this. I actually attempted to have you back earlier, but that didn't work out.
Interesting. Are you putting me on the spot here?
No, it's not your fault at all. Because you were originally in the group for the 90s soundtrack songs one, but that did not work out. But here you are now.
Yeah, I have a little lapse between my scandals, so this is a really good time to record.
It's a really good one, yes. And yeah. Once they catch you, this will be worth so much, this recording. I'll hold off till then. But it's funny because last time you came on, you had just ended the Screamcast. It was like recently over, maybe.
Yeah.
And then now
it's fresh, painful.
Now it's recently returned.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? You guys just were like, you know what, let's do this.
So we kept the group chat, which is Sean DeRager, the creator, Brad Henderson, most people know from Vinegar Syndrome, and Mike Delaney, who's the newest addition. And we kept our group chat going and just random stuff. And one day Brad said, let's bring Screamcast back. And we're like, okay. And it came back. That's all there was to it.
That was it?
No, some people said, why didn't you tell me you guys were planning on coming back? I'm like, we all said okay, and then a couple days later we recorded it. That's all there was to it.
No stakes, guys. Let's just do this.
Yeah.
How many episodes have you put out since returning?
We just did our third with Travis Stevens and Barbara Crampton.
Awesome.
And we're actually recording tomorrow night.
Oh.
We're bringing back What's on Your Doorstep.
Okay.
So for Blu-ray people, that's usually when they like.
Awesome. That's good to hear, and good to have you back in the regular potting world.
Yeah, I'm just so lazy in the schedule. I don't know how you do this every week. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a family. What? Come on, guys. Sleep once in a while.
I don't know how I do it either. Sometimes I don't want to do it. Sometimes I don't. So.
Well, I appreciate you putting up with this.
Ask my 4K Blues Day crowd. They're probably like, where is he? I'm like, well, if my videos got a little more views, I'd be more up for doing them a little more regular.
You hear that, guys? He's holding you hostage.
Also, I've been on, like, review copies haven't been, like, flooding lately. Well, actually, lately I have, but sometimes I'm like, well, I don't have anything right now. And then I try to make up things, like I did a Hammer horror thing, like how do you collect the Dracula stuff? Nobody cared. Like my videos, like up to that week, had been doing really well. And then nobody cared. I was like, well, F you. I love Hammer. So
I do too. And I'm angry at the YouTube algorithm. I'm going to watch that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I promise. I'm going to leave a comment. I'm going to give you a like.
Yeah.
I'm already subscribed.
There you go. Yes.
But I'll do everything else.
I did forget a couple things that I do own in there, but
that's why. How dare you?
Yeah, amateur. Speaking of Blu-ray on your doorstep and stuff, so last episode you weren't on this. The wonderful Reina Cervantes was, but we talked about Warner Archive, and I talked about how everybody flipped when the WB shop closed. They're like, oh no, we're Warner Archive. And I had to explain, like, WB shop, Warner Archive, not the same thing.
Right.
That's just a storefront for Warner Brothers that Amazon and MovieZing, and there's probably another one, are certified Warner Archive replicators, because Warner Archive, while not being BDRs, are a kind of print-on-demand service where they're like, okay, we're going to print this many, and with the DVDs, it's a DVD-R. So they kind of just move that storefront to Amazon, which probably saves money, but people, less people needed. And with like literally the day or two after I recorded that, Twitter, the source of all news, had a guy named Jerry Beck who started tweeting out. He's apparently former Warner employee, talking about how everybody's been fired, and saying Warner Archive, Warner Home Video are going to have releases through 2021, but in 2022 everything's going to go and everything's in HBO Max land, which those tweets have been deleted since. So I don't know why a guy who doesn't work there anymore, maybe he has a non-disclosure agreement. I know when I worked in the testing industry, I wasn't allowed to tell who I did stuff for, though everybody did. Like I wasn't supposed to be like, oh yeah, I do Lionsgate, I do Disney, all that stuff. My sound went out?
There you are.
There we go.
You had to acknowledge it. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So yeah, so I wasn't allowed to talk about that stuff. But people do. So I wonder why they would silence him. But there are, people losing their jobs and stuff, and like definitely dwindling down home video. But do you think it's going away? Do you know a little more? Because
no, I don't know.
Okay,
anything more.
So like last year, like Disney, like it was like, oh, they're done forever. No more 4Ks for them. Fox stuff isn't getting it, but we're getting, like, of course, Speed, Aliens, but those are sellers, and they were probably being worked on before they got acquired from Fox. That's possible. But I just can't see them, just Warner Brothers as a whole, just saying, nope, cut off. I don't want to put out DC movies on Blu-ray. I don't want to put out these other things. And with Warner Archive, like there's a lot, that's like their restoration and put a Blu-ray out thing. So I don't see that as being like a super expensive endeavor.
Right. It's not like they have to pay for acquisitions, which I imagine would be a big thing. Yeah, it's so sad now. To be honest, I only went to their website when the 4 for $44 sale was going on.
Right.
But I checked it out. Now it just says where you can stream it, where you can buy it on Amazon, and it's depressing.
But yeah, well, my thing is like they got in this endeavor with Universal to put out Blu-rays and stuff for like the next 10 years. Was it like why, or is it them, Paramount, something like that? There was like this push to do that. And
I'd be surprised if they didn't really fully know next step was going to be with that, because Warner Brothers, they've always been really good with home video.
Yeah.
They're definitely more interested in DVD than they were Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
But they do have a legacy with caring about it. And they just released Quick Change. So I'll love them forever. And they did The Bad and the Beautiful. So, but at the same time,
today's title, Drop Dead Gorgeous, was one of their.
I know. They should have gotten me for the commentary, but that's fine. Yeah, it's. But you can't deny that people buying physical media, those are dwindling, and streaming is the thing right now. And we don't even know how ultimately sustainable that will be. But it's been a pretty great deal for studios so far. So yeah, they have. I think they've earned a little bit of the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
But if everything fully wrapped up in a few years, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be incredibly sad.
Right. They've only put out 2 of the Thin Man movies. They've got, when they get done with the Thin Man movies, maybe then they close up. Why would you tease out just a couple? and they still have the second Cleopatra Jones to put out. But I think, so they've been really open more in the last couple of years to sub-licensing out to like Shout Factory, Arrow, and Criterion. And if they were to stop Warner Archive and stop home video, like the ripple effects for that, I don't think benefit, because we're already seeing with Shout Factory and Criterion that, oh, we're putting out more prestigious titles, and they used to be really good at putting out like the cult movies, the lower level ones, and like that is not, like Arrow especially has seemingly decreased in the amount of cult movies which they put out good versions of, in favor of like more A titles, like they've been putting out
16 Candles.
all that. So I would think if that happened, they're like, oh, we'll still sub-license, and then here's everything, you guys. It changes like us looking for more obscure titles to get all this love. I feel like those would, I'm sure you'd have your Severin films, your Vinegar Syndromes and stuff still excelling in that and probably getting a little bit bigger pool, but then they get a bigger pool. They can't put out like 20 titles a month. So then like it would take, say they get one title, it could take years to get through to it based on their roster, and there's like less, but I don't know. I don't like it. I know streaming.
No, I didn't even think of that perspective.
There's a ripple. Like, I mean, remember it took like Synapse Films, one of the smallest ones, and very good people. They do some of the best work. Suspiria took them like 4 years after they announced
they're a
it.
small company.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that. I mean, on one hand, if they did close up Warner Archive, but they're like, you know what, we're going to be super cool about letting other people do our titles.
Right.
We're going to make it affordable. We're going to be open about it. That would make me happy. I don't know. I think Arrow has, as most successful companies are, they've been slowly getting more mainstream anyway.
Right.
Yeah, maybe they could even do a sub-label or something, and maybe that little boutique labels are still opening up right now, and they're doing pretty well. If you look at Cauldron Films and things like that, so maybe like, hey, Arrow's kind of dropping it with like the interesting weird stuff. Maybe we can
start with Giallo, and then you grow up to the big leagues to do John Hughes movies, I guess. But yeah, no, like it's interesting because I've been dying for a new version of Dario Argento's Inferno, and I feel like I'm in a hell where it's too big for some of them and not big enough anymore. Not enough. I don't know. The Arrow looked like they were building to something and then stopped, and now we're backtracking to Bird with the Crystal Plumage on 4K, which all for it.
All for it?
All for it. Yes.
All 4K it?
All for
I hate it when someone doesn't get it first, and then I have to really underline how terrible my joke was. Well, I can't hold that against them because people are crazy for 4K. Like they get really angry when these big titles aren't on 4K. Yeah, I think that's just making customers happy because 4K people are very diehard, and and that's a beautiful film. But yeah, that excitement of discovery they had even just a couple years ago, sure, it's dwindling a little, but they're still doing great work, and there's so many other labels that are just getting their fingernails dirty, just digging for interesting stuff.
So hopefully, it still keeps being a collector medium. Those titles get available somehow besides HBO Max, which I do. I love HBO Max. It's one of my favorite streaming services, but I would like still the ability to buy Blu-rays, even though Best Buy doesn't think it's cool anymore, and all the others. But when people,
every new photo of the Best Buy movie section is like a dagger to my heart.
Right. I mean, at least they're still on their website, but I mean, that's what people have been doing. They've been buying them online, so they're like, let's get them out of the store. I mean, even when I was working at Circuit City in the early 2000s, they didn't like the movie section either. They were just supposed to be like add-ons for things, and they just really didn't care about them like I did. I was the guy who thought it meant the world. I was like, this is it. Took care of it, and they took advantage of that with me. So
yeah, the one here, they seem to be on random wire racks like throughout the store. So they did not care about the movies at the one here.
Hey, you got Saw on 4K. Well, I'm buying my dryer. I'll get that. And Oh, much saw in 4K. Dry some clothes. All right. Cool.
Oh, now I miss fries.
Oh, Fry. Yeah, that was a
Same thing. Just random movies right next to dryers and musical equipment.
Fry's was actually cool. You go in there and be like, oh, they carry Arrow titles. They carry
Yeah, and they had a cafe.
Criterion. Yeah, they had, yeah. I had like
The one here was shaped like a giant slot machine. So
you got a cool one. So like the one in Burbank was awesome. It had like have you ever been to that one?
No, but I've seen photos.
Got the UFO crashing into it. It looks like a 50s sci-fi movie. One of I'm in Indianapolis where the Indianapolis 500 is. So it's like boring on the outside, and there's like old race cars in aisles. Like
Oh, it wasn't car shaped.
No.
They had sorry.
classic cars throughout the building.
That was exciting. Inside there is just photos of old Vegas things like celebrities and stuff inside.
Gotcha. Can you gamble in the Fries there or no?
Shockingly, no. You can gamble at gas stations here, grocery stores here, but not Fries. That's probably why they closed.
Ah, yeah. Do they have like what I used to go? It's closed now, but like the Imperial Palace where they had the dealer tainers, they should have had like that, but cashiers. Like Rod Stewart is your cashier.
Yeah.
On that. I'd have gone and bought a big screen while I was there. Jeez. All right. Well, we will move on to Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is directed by Michael Patrick Jan, written by Lona Williams, who is also judge number 3 in the film, and stars Kirstie Alley, Kirsten Dunst, Ellen Barkin, Denise Richards, Brittany Murphy, Amy Adams, Allison Janney, Sam McMurray, Mindy Sterling, Matt Malloy, Will Sasso, Nora Dunn, Thomas Lennon, and the Adam West. And it's about a small-town beauty pageant that turns deadly as it becomes clear that someone will go to any lengths to win. Stephanie, why did you bring Drop Dead Gorgeous to the show?
Oh, well, I have loved this movie for a very long time. So let's go back to the late 90s.
Going back.
I'm a huge Kirsten Dunst fan, and that was mainly born from this year. So she did The Virgin Suicides.
Oh, right.
She did Drop Dead Gorgeous, and then she did Dick, that great Andrew Fleming Nixon satire, in a row. And I just fell in love with her, and I created a fan site called Kirsten Dunst Online for her. And it's actually pretty popular back in the day, and I was just very dedicated to it. And my first job was working at a movie theater when Spider-Man opened the weekend, my first weekend of doing it. So I'm like, I'm doing her proud.
It was meant to be.
Exactly. So, I kind of just, I missed this in the theaters. I don't remember it coming out in theaters. I feel like it had a really small opening, if even showed up in Albuquerque at the time. I don't know. But I grabbed it as an ex-rental Blockbuster VHS.
Okay.
And I just fell in love with it. I'd watch it weekly. I'd memorize it. I transcribed quotes of it for my website. I had the script on my website. Yeah, I love this movie.
Wow. Awesome. This was a blind spot for me. I sold this. This one was at when Circuit City, it came out on DVD or something. We had like a big set because they were those snap cases, so you could fit a bunch of them in a row. And I didn't see it till the Blu-ray came out. Like it was a blind, I know. Yeah. Oddly enough, and I enjoyed it. Like, I don't know if I would have back in 99 if I'd have saw it, or young Brandon would have, who knows, but for some reason I just at the trailer and I never saw it. And then, I get mad at young Brandon a lot for things, but
that's good for this episode because we have two very different perspectives.
Right. Yeah. I had to see it, and I was mainly impressed. Like, I hate to go, well, it was ahead of its time, but it was, because people don't remember, but 1999, a movie like this, the fake documentary, especially one that wasn't done by Christopher Guest, was not regular, and then this became what a lot of television comedy would, most television comedies would be this throughout the mid 2000s to still this day. I mean, you made famous by The Office, but The Office is something spinning off of something like this and all the way to like Modern Family. I mean, What We Do in the Shadows basically pulls this fake documentary stuff. It's evolved, yes, but right here, and just seeing this like the cast they have that grows, and I can see how it's become a true cult classic. Like, really, I mean, it's not, a lot of people pull this cult classic thing, and I'm like, that movie either made a lot of money, got great reviews, or won Oscars. What are you saying? Like, oh, this is underrated. Understand? Like, no, this would be a cult classic. This would definitely be underseen. It fits all that criteria. But yeah, I just, it's kind of a stealth slasher movie in a bit, with things, and I kind of dig that as a.
I do like how the original poster art, which is on the Warner Archive, it very much, if you didn't know anything about that, you'd probably be like, oh, it's like a horror parody thing. Right. Yeah. And it's not.
No. And strong.
But you're right. A little tweaking. It could be.
Yeah.
And we're in a morgue a lot in this movie.
There is a morgue. There is a morgue. And it's strong, real strong satire, which always, like I was talking about last week on Beyond the Valley of Dolls, when it comes out, goes over the audience's heads. I read some reviews from back then. Didn't seem to understand that, or too mean. I'm like, yeah, you're watching a dark comedy. Like, it's gonna not care. Like, that's kind of what happens. But I mean, like, you get to, like, Allison Janney before she's like busting out, like way before she becomes like, hey, let's put her in everything. But the comedy and stuff comes from the director was like one of the directors of one of my favorite comedy shows of the 90s, The State.
The State, yep.
And did Little Britain, Fly the Conchords, Reno 911, Children's Hospital Community, lots of comedy TV, but
Happy Endings. Sorry,
Happy
that's
Endings,
one of my favorites.
Oh, love Happy Endings. But yeah, like all that stuff, like he's pioneered. That's why you get Thomas Lennon as the voice behind the camera with such ease, and then he pairs with Lana Williams, who is a Drew Carey show writer, and she wrote Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, like her other credits.
Which I didn't love quite as much as Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Something else I didn't like, she did a punch up on the script for Shark Tale.
I've watched that a few times with my friends' kids.
Yeah.
It's a movie with mobster sharks in it.
Worked on that DVD. I've had my share. But yeah.
There goes my deep dive.
Right. But yeah, it's like Kirsten Dunst, who you talk about. I feel someone like super talented, and the press people like totally failed her because she was just being a teenage girl through it. Because there was a lot of like the way the paparazzi followed her around made her seem like some trashy drunk blah blah, like part that she's being a teen girl, and people didn't.
She didn't really get that, actually. I have to jump in. She didn't really get that very much at all. Yeah, she lucked out.
You were the fan site, but
I can comment on.
Well, I remember like reading things that just seemed like negative about her, like not going back to Spider-Man, like for one of them, and then there was like something. Her and Jake Gyllenhaal fornicating in like a bathroom or something. Like, just seemed like.
This is how warped I am. That's just how they talk about young actresses. So I'm like, besides the usual garbage they throw, no, she got off easy. I was thinking like. How they went after Brittany Murphy later on, like that's kind of the level I'm at. But no, You're right. Yeah, she had to deal with the regular trash. No, and she's so interesting in this movie because I rewatched it last night. Mm-hmm. I've seen it so many times, but it's been like 2 years. And there's scenes where she's incredibly awkward. Mm-hmm. But she was a child actress. She was in Interview with the Vampire before this already. And I think they kind of just maybe didn't go. I wish there's a commentary on this so Christopher Guest, he pretty much makes the scenarios and they have to hit certain beats and end up at a certain place, but they can improv within that.
Right.
So I'm kind of wondering how much they improv in this.
Right.
It doesn't feel overly so, but I feel like there are moments where they're like, okay, that wasn't exactly a script. That felt natural. Let's let that go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she's really good. I mean, like one of my favorite moments is when she is in the morgue and she uncovers the guy that was sweet to her in the lunch line dead, and like she just handles it really well. Like it's really natural. I did like that a lot. And yeah, I mean, she gets to roller coaster it. She gets to be funny. She gets to be sad, dramatic. Have drive. It just really, really well done. And in a movie that people didn't get to see her do that in, like, because people didn't go watch this movie back in '99. But she did get picked to be Mary Jane in Spider-Man, which is quite huge of a landing. When they did that, it also, we also have Denise Richards, who this is a big year for her. But like,
Drop Dead Gorgeous, which no one saw, and then James Bond.
James Bond. And then
Christmas Jones,
which people can't get over the fact that she's not in much of that movie, and it's actually really one of Brosnan's second best one. But she's actually, like, I like this, like, comedic Denise Richards. She's probably someone who needs the right director or something like that. I'm not saying that as a fault on her, just that happens with some people. And like, but she gets this material, like she eats it up. She's quite good.
Thank you. Like I was going to come in and really defend Denise Richards. I don't know why she has gotten so attacked over the years. I think maybe because she looks a certain way.
Yeah.
And she played certain roles, but she always knew exactly what she was doing. Starship Troopers, she played that perfectly.
Right.
She's hilarious. She's, I think, maybe the highlight in this movie. And I'm saying that as a Kirsten Dunst fan. It's Allison Janney, Ellen Barkin, and Denise Richards are the MVPs of this movie, in my opinion. She always knew the assignment.
Yeah.
And she's so naturally funny. So yeah, and what am I thinking of? Wild Things.
Yeah.
That's a weird kind of movie. That's a weird tone to get. And but it doesn't seem that way. But it is, like, because there's a dark humor to that. It's sexy in such a bonkers kind of way. Right. But you also have to sell, like, the thriller aspect.
Yeah.
And she's incredible in it. No, like, stop picking on Denise Richards. And Tammy and the T-Rex, do people think she's an idiot and she's just like, oh, I guess I'm going to fall in love with the T-Rex? She knew what was going on. She's great.
Right. And I think part of the thing is, like, sometimes some people are better in smaller things or more grounded stuff, and they don't translate to blockbusters well. Like, what's his name? The kid that was the Green Goblin in the Garfield Spider-Man movie. What was his name? He's in that Aubrey Plaza zombie movie. They were all big on him for a while. And he's in Valerian. Oh, Jesus. I'm going to have to look something up.
I only saw the first Garfield Spider-Man. That was enough for me.
Valerian. Oh my gosh, that isn't. Oh, I got to spell it right.
While you look that up, so 1999 was Kirsten's year, everybody. Virgin Suicides, this. She was also in a Holocaust TV movie and a Savage Garden music video. Now, that's a year. That is a year.
What Savage Garden music video is she in?
I think it's I Knew I Loved You Before I Met You. It's like she's just on a train looking cute.
The actor's name is Dane DeHaan.
Okay, yeah.
Put him in, like, he's great in all these indie movies I saw, and then you put him in Blockbuster. It's like, doesn't seem to know when they go big or something. Like, but not everybody works in that. And I like Denise Richards in World Is Not. The people call her the worst. Like, I'm a big Bond fan. Oh yeah, James Bond fan. There's much lesser performances, and hers just might be of the bigger scale to look at, and it's a joke. She, like, if you look at her, it's a joke on the, like, supermodel being a scientist type thing.
Yeah.
Her name's Christmas Jones. It's what it is. So it's part of the humor, but people are like, oh, she needs to be super serious. It's whatever. But she's great in this movie. She's great in a lot of things. I've seen her Starship Troopers, you mentioned. She's in Undercover Brother.
Great in that.
She knows what she's she knows what she's doing. She's good at comedy, I think, really good at knowing her role and playing comedy. But this movie, yeah, like the her song number in the
Yeah. Do we need to say what the plot of the movie is?
I mean, we just talk about it. I assume people.
Okay. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, well, the talent show sequence to me is one of the best of the movie.
At the top. I did say the synopsis before. Small town beauty pageant turns deadly. It's a faux documentary. The beauty pageant does happen in the movie. So there we go.
Yeah, the dance sequence with a puppet Jesus on the cross to what I need you, baby. Yes. It's so absurd, but they set it up perfectly. She's in the Lutheran Sisterhood Gun Club. She's just one of those people who's like, I'd solve world hunger with one of my mom's rhubarb pies. I don't know why I made her Southern. They're from Minnesota.
My mom would be peace with one of her prayers.
Coffee and bars. There, that's how I get the Minnesota. No, she's so brilliant in this, just pretending she's friends with the anorexic beauty pageant contestant in the hospital.
She's anorexic. Yeah, she needs to.
She's not. She's anorexic. She's skinny, not deaf. No, she's God. No, this movie makes me wish she did more dark comedies. Boy, she is hilarious in this, and devious too. You believe she could be the daughter of a murderous Kirstie Alley, and also
they want you to think it's her. They want you to think it's her throughout, because at first I could see someone on first time watching thinking accidents might be happening, but if you watch it, they really like I watched it twice for this, and they really want you to think Denise Richards is causing all this stuff. Like you show the boy that both her and Amber, Kirsten Dunst, likes, bullet through his forehead, and the next scene she's polishing her gun. And then when the contestant gets the thing hit down, and she's just like, walks off from the girl on the stage.
Just the little moments in that. Move the body. Not move her.
Oh, and I love John Doe. Is one of the funnier things. The complete pedophile pharmacy guy that's one of the judges, and finding him in the background smoking in seeds, and he has the camera, and oh gosh, he's just brilliantly not overdone, but done just perfectly. They don't abuse him too much, but
speaking of, this has to be one of the smokingest movies.
There's a lot.
Like this had to be one of the very last ones. Yeah,
they're smoking indoors. They're smoking like and also, I would put as a candidate, maybe not in the MVP, but like right under tier is Sam McMurray. Like he is. Like you've never seen, like he just lets loose in this movie. Like someone's like letting me off a leash finally in a movie, and we first see him, he's smoking and having like a scotch or something, and
yeah, he's always trying to get everyone a drink.
He like was at the furniture store, like bragging about how he rips people off, and just he's pretty funny. I like.
No,
him.
He's great, and I do feel like really well cast as Denise Richards' parents, Kirstie Alley and him. They all have great chemistry.
Yeah. Kirstie Alley, like she wound up becoming this person in real life. I don't know. I say
coming in second place in the prison beauty pageant.
Oh yeah, and the ending where they have her released from jail, gets revenge on people and sniping. Apparently, that's the second ending they shot, because she was originally supposed to commit suicide in prison. And the anorexic girl was supposed to be the one shooting, and that didn't test well with people. So they reshot it and had Kirstie Alley be the shooter.
Yeah, you don't need to do things like that right at the end of the movie.
I mean, even as is, it's a bit much, but it adds to the newscaster thing, I guess, to be the full circle Diane Sawyer thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it kind of has a To Die For-esque ending, but... as many times as I've seen this movie, when I think about it, I think of it ending at all the girls tearing apart the cosmetics place that went bankrupt. Like for some reason, that's where the movie ends. And that yourself is nice, but yeah.
Yeah, the ending upon it. Like, because, I mean, you think the movie's going to end with just the local pageant, but then we go on to the state pageant, and then we go on to the national. So it feels like it's, Lord of the Rings endings. But yeah, there's and you don't get Adam West back. They tease him at the beginning, and he never comes back.
So we do get that hilarious thing where, and she told me Adam West was so horny. Adam West was not available for comment.
Yes. I
was like, he okayed that? Good for him. He has a sense of
humor. Oh yeah, he totally does. He totally does. But they also, like, going back to, like, the Diane Sawyer. Diane Sawyer was like, I don't know if kids now care about Diane Sawyer, but this was like a thing in the 90s to have the Diane Sawyer interviewer be like Diane Sawyer, because I remember, like, Scream 2, Cotton Weary, he's all about that Diane Sawyer, Sydney.
Yeah.
Sawyer, and that's like, that was a name of names when it came to, like, news or interviews and stuff. Like,
no, the last time I heard of her was that Britney Spears interview she did, and people were like, she was terrible to her. Looking back at it.
Yeah. Oh man. Feature film debut of Amy Adams.
Yes, and then the next year she did another cult classic that's one of my faves, Psycho Beach Party. Like, what a cool way to start your career. Like, yeah, the not so smart cheerleader and Drop Dead Gorgeous, and then you're in Psycho Beach Party, and then you get nominated for 6 Oscars. Hey, that's a career, man.
That is.
That's ideal. You get to experience everything.
That's right. And also, Amanda Detmer is her film debut. She'd done some television here. This is pre getting hit by a bus in Final Destination, and pre an angry stare at the line in the arc light back in, like, 2006.
Oh, that's a specific reference. I wouldn't have gotten that one.
I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did. I was just behind
I think
her
you
line, and she turned and was like, I was with nobody, so I was not talking.
You probably looked like an ex-boyfriend or something.
I don't know, but I got a glare from hell, and I was like, okay, whatever. I used to think you were cute in movies, but now I don't like whatever it is. Yeah. I
wonder if there's a deleted scene with her, because she's dressed as Dorothy from Oz, and I'm wondering if they explain that. Because they're all from Minnesota.
When she goes up on stage, like, she's got some sort of blind act routine.
Yeah, I think there's some stuff taken out.
Yeah. The massive.
Well, you got to see her puke. Did that make you feel better that she had to deal with fake puke?
I'll put on Final Destination, watch her get hit by a bus. That's all.
Okay, wow. Nobody glare at Brandon.
Still a great death. Still a great death.
Oh, yeah.
Took me by surprise.
That timing?
Just boom. It's like, oh,
so
shit.
Good.
Oh, shit. Every time. But no, I don't know what it meant. She was probably just having a day. Who knows? That's what I say about people when they hear, like, a story about a celebrity being a dick. I'm like, they have bad days too.
Unless it's to you.
Unless it's to me. Unless it's
fair.
I just wanted to get my ticket to Run Fat Boy Run. That's all I wanted. I don't know if it was that movie, but I did see that movie at the ArcLight once, so that was kind of funny. Go David Schwimmer, I guess. There's so much to talk about this movie. Because, I mean, it's one that definitely pays off on multiple viewings. It's clever. It's got layers. That's easy. There's stuff I want to know that I haven't caught yet. Anyway, I've only seen the movie like 3 times now, but
that's impressive since Blu-ray.
Yeah, I'm in the fan club. So, and you picked it. I think you told me about it last time, and I was like, all right. And then I opened up the list, and I keep track of what people want, and you said I only wrote down Farscape because I knew you wanted that, but that's there. I saw the original title was Dairy Queens.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the mothers were originally, they went for Sigourney Weaver and Goldie Hawn, which is really easy to imagine.
Oh yeah, no, that's one of those things you're like, God, can you imagine? You're like, no, actually,
Good. Which I think Ellen Barkin gives us a turn we don't see from her often, so I really enjoy that.
I love her in this. She's just the incredible beautician in a trailer park.
Right, yeah. And
like amazing.
When she's like hopped up on whatever at the the contest, and oh my gosh, she's cracking.
Yeah, I was laughing her ass off. Well, and who knew she was such a great prop actress? So,
Oh yeah.
she's one of the ones she survives, thankfully. But there's an attempt on her life of exploding their trailer, so she gets her beer fused to her hand,
Right.
until they can replace it with a hook. But just the way she wields them is incredible.
Yes.
And when she finally figures out how to very messily open up a beer with her hook, just her smile of accomplishment after that, it's just
wonderful.
like, it's moments like that that make this movie.
Very true. Very true. And one thing I think about, like, why has this movie preserved or gained its status or been reanalyzed by people? And I think it's, like I mentioned, ahead of its time, but it's also very different from like the teen films coming out in this era, which I don't know if I throw it fully in the teen, but it's got a lot of teen attraction in terms of Kirsten Dunst, Denise Richards, the beauty pageant, mother-daughter relationship things. And it's not safe. It's not trying to be sexy or popular. And I think the documentary approach is rather easy and kind of regular for modern audiences now. If you popped it in, you're comfortable with that format. Whereas back then it might have been off-putting, though. Best in Show, I remember that one being something that really took off and a lot of people loved that. And then shortly after that, you see like The Office and all those other shows.
Yeah, I think that as great as the faux documentary is here, or mockumentary, it when it was done, like with Christopher Guest, it's usually geared towards adults, or at least it was back then.
Yeah,
because that's who was watching documentaries. But now documentaries are much more accessible; they're much more popular, so younger audiences can hook onto that immediately. But back then, it was kind of a harder sell because this is sophisticated enough to appeal to everyone. But there's like you said, I didn't know anything about this movie. I knew Kirsten was in it and some other actresses I liked, like Brittany Murphy and Denise Richards. That's all I knew. I knew it was a comedy with them, and I ended up loving it. But I can imagine this would be a tough one back then to do. I think
they didn't sell it on that. Like the trailer, I don't think the trailer. Like I didn't know that. Like if I'd have known it was trying for some kind of interesting format, I probably would have given this movie more of a look than I did when it came out.
Yeah, they weren't selling it to the right people. The Jawbreaker came out this year too, another dark comedy, pretty different, but still dark comedy with teenage girls. I'm thinking of how old they were at the time. Denise Richards, I think, is like 11 years older than Kirsten Dunst.
She's 29 when this.
Yeah, she doesn't look like any teenager I've ever seen it, but she does look Hollywood teenager. She pulls that off.
Allison Hannigan was playing teenagers in her 30s, so it just depends if you can pull it off. And I think for this, Denise Richards pulls it off fine. Yeah, no,
it's perfect. And she's such a heightened character. Like, she's basically when people mock soap opera villainesses, that's kind of what she's doing here.
Oh yeah. And we haven't talked about Brittany Murphy, who you mentioned. And this is a couple years after Clueless, and she's adorable in here. She's got probably one of the more fun roles to play. The one that laughs at everything, goofs off.
Which is interesting because she did Girl Interrupted this year too, so she needed to have some fun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and you just, I don't know. She has the charm and charisma to be one of the leads in this, but she's down in one of the more supporting roles, which is just no surprise to watch her just climb up to leading movies in the early 2000s. But yeah.
Oh yeah, no, this is one of nature's perfect casts. It's just everyone brings it. But yeah, she had such an unusual sparkle to her whenever she was on. She even she's normally just like laughing hysterically and talking about her gay brother that her parents prefer far over her. But towards the end, when she's helping out Amber to stay in the competition, and like she really plays out like a real friend trying to help someone out, and you're like, oh yes, well, please keep getting good material.
It's a nice turn to show that this caricature is also human in that sense. It gives you more to the documentary sense that helps it play.
Yeah, you think she's one note, but she says like, we all know I'm not going to win. So you're like,
Right.
oh, she's a teenage girl with a defensive thing up. And they let her show that,
Yeah.
That's really, and I saw this as a teenage girl, and just stuff like that actually meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Because you're used to being treated like a joke or just an idiot most of the time. You're like, but there's a billion things going on in my head right now. And this is a funny way to show that, I think. And the best they could say back then was ... lots of fun ... You can put a lot of negative stuff in those dots, all right?
I wish it was lots of fun. Oh my God. Yeah.
It should be lots of fun for idiots. Yeah.
I mean, even though like the little smaller one, like I love the Soylent Green Girl. Like
yeah, the super actress.
Oh, that's so great. And I mean their dance number with the paint, the wet paint, hilarious. This like I can't wait to show my daughter this, my son this. Like this is gonna be one to like.
How old are they?
9 and gonna be 7 at the end of next month.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple years.
Couple years. I'm getting him into things. I'm showing him some Hitchcock right now. He's liking it.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. She's really into like fantasy stuff right now, so that's interesting.
Do you have Labyrinth on repeat yet?
Oh, they love Labyrinth. That's one they love. They also love Monty Python and the Holy Grail. They asked
nice.
a lot. So
have they seen Bill and Ted yet?
Yes. Well, my son's seen all 3, and my daughter saw the new one and loved it. And then she's like, wait, there's 2 more? I'm like, yeah, yes, there are.
She is smart. She could make sense of that movie without seeing the past, too.
She thought it was great. Yeah, hey, when you're that old, I mean, you don't care about continuity. It's just the movie before you.
That's true. I thought the greatest movie when I was really little was Supergirl. So, yeah, I get it.
It's still pretty great. Don't even. It's better than Superman 3. It's better than Superman 4. I'll watch it over Superman Returns, probably over Man of Steel. I dig that Supergirl. Either cut, give it to me. Like I do like that movie. See,
this is why I wanted to talk Drop Dead Gorgeous with you. That's the kind of brain I want to talk about this movie.
There we go. I mean, Supergirl has Matt Frewer as a trucker rapist. I mean, how with a Dr. Pepper shirt? He has some shirt on. Like, how did that company let their logo be on him during that scene? It's so funny. Oh gosh, that movie. Oh, I did an episode of my old show on that one, and I edited that scene with Frewer into like make. I want to say it's Dr. Pepper. Is it Dr. Pepper?
I don't remember.
I made it sound like a commercial for that company using that scene. Like, yeah, it was
That's awesome.
I mean, go find it. Or maybe
I should watch it again. I don't even have it on Blu-ray, but I paid $40 for it on DVD at Suncoast.
I bought it
back in the day, the limited edition.
Yeah, the double disc.
Yep.
Was it Anchor Bay got to put that out, right?
Yeah.
I have that one. I've held on to it. Like I'm like I paid. I don't think I paid $40 for it. I think I paid like $25 or $30. But that, yeah, it's worth it. Peter O'Toole drunk. Like, come on. Like, the movie's entertaining as hell.
I'll do Supergirl, but we know full bar. We're ready.
Full bar. Need to remodel your kitchen. Back to Drop Dead Gorgeous. Speaking of movies that bombed or whatever, this movie had like negative reviews pretty much, but it bombed at the box office like bad. Like it came out in the summer of 1999. So this is building it up to why I say it's a true cult classic. Because you can talk to plenty of people who haven't seen it. Yes, we have Twitter and stuff. We know we're not alone now, but it bombed the box office in the summer of 1999. It debuted at number 11. Didn't even crack the top 10. Here's what was ahead of it at the box office. So The Haunting and Inspector Gadget opened at number 1 and number 2. And we're talking the Jan de Bont Haunting.
Look, it's not good, but that was a big splashy, hey, sexy people in the haunted house. Right. No, we didn't know. We didn't know.
I saw it opening. I went on a date, saw it opening weekend. It's all good. The rest of the top 10 was the third week of American Pie. Eyes Wide Shut fell from number 1 to number 2. Big Daddy's fifth week. Lake Placid week 2, Wild Wild West at number 4, Tarzan week 6, The Wood second week, and The Phantom Menace week 10. So it finished right behind Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. But you'd think this would get yoinked right away. It played for 7 weeks. And a week.
So it kind of played like a cult film. Yeah, that's what cult films do. They start low, but they hang out.
Well, I'm talking like it went from like it dropped the second week, like it made like $1 million, and then it was like under 500,000, 100,000, and then it made like 68,000, and then the next week was like 200,000. So like 5 friends talked to 5 friends, and and then it went back down, and then it was gone. But it was really funny. Like it bumped up from like 68,000 to 200,000 one week, and I was like, "Whoa, what happened? What?"
The cool people found it. That's what happened.
Did it hit dollar theaters that week? Maybe, and people.
Maybe that's how I saw most movies back then with my mom. We just go to the dollar theater.
Yeah, in the 90s, I would go to the dollar theater all the time.
Every weekend. God, that list of movies was a time capsule for me. Mm-hmm. Can I tell you my little Phantom Menace story?
Always, yes.
So I was 15 with my boyfriend and our friend couple, and we wanted to see the South Park movie that just come out, but we were too young. But we're like, whatever, we'll buy Phantom Menace tickets and then we'll just go into South Park. Mm-hmm. They were checking IDs right before you got into the theater. You already had your ticket, then they were checking your ID, so we couldn't get through. So I had already seen Phantom Menace like 2 or 3 times because it was a big deal, back then. But we just wanted to see South Park so bad. We were just like these surly young teenagers in the back row. We lasted 15 minutes and then we just walked out and hung out in the parking lot. But yeah, just a time capsule.
Summer, like 1999 is like this like great year for movies that I didn't realize was happening while I was in it. Like
we never do. We never know until after.
I never look back 99. I'm like, oh yeah, shit, I saw all that year. Oh, yeah. Wow. And it's like overshadowed by like, Phantom Menace came out there. I'm like, yeah, but look at everything else. Like Drop Dead Gorgeous, I would count as like, 99 was really good. We got Drop Dead Gorgeous that year. Like it's just insane. Like, oh man, you can go through, you can just make.
And have you seen Dick?
Well, when I get in the shower, yeah, I saw Dick long ago. I have to revisit it because it's been forever. Because it's heard
that one I saw in theaters. That one I helped out.
Okay, because that was with Michelle Williams, right?
Yes.
I'm a Halloween fanboy, and I had to go support my peeps because
that's right.
So I did see that. I think I rented that. Rented that one.
But if you want to see, like, this is, this is a very female comedy, and they do every kind of comedy. There's gross out comedy, there's physical comedy, just dry wit, every type of comedy, and all the juiciest roles are to women. Yeah. There's not enough of that.
No, there's not. Still today. I mean, like, I remember, like, I liked, what was the Sweetest Thing with Cameron Diaz? Like, had a lot of cool, gross out things that you don't use, like, you wouldn't expect in a female comedy. Like have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't. I know of it, but I never saw it.
I haven't seen it since college, but I remember there was a part where Selma Blair was like going down on a guy and like had some like got stuck on his pants or something, and they were trying to calm her down, freaking out, and everybody sings Aerosmith's "Don't Want to Miss a Thing" to her while trying to calm. And it's a really funny scene. I was like, wow, okay, but girls can have fun too. Yes.
I was going to point out there's just this much boy drama in this, but in the next scene he's killed off and it's never spoken of again, which is refreshing.
Right, yeah. And it lets girls be girls, but also lets it just be real and fun too. Like there's a reality and a respect treated with them as well. It's pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, because we're all just people. Like the contestants, there's a weird girl obsessed with dogs. There's one adopted by Asian parents who just wants to be a country western star.
Right. Yes. Oh gosh, yeah. We didn't even talk about the Asian couple obsessed with being as American as possible.
Yeah.
And their daughter just giving looks in the background, just so.
No, I kind of loved it because she was fully bought into it for them. She just loved them so much. She's like, yeah, super American.
Oh, and then you see her in the background. She's wearing the shirt with them in the audience during that scene.
And her talent show is just like firing plastic guns to a country song back and forth.
Country western. Country. Oh gosh. Oh, so fun. Do you have anything more on Drop Dead Gorgeous?
Just see it. We can tell you every scene that happens in this, and we wouldn't spoil it for you. It's so fun to watch. Some of the best comedians and actors of the time just having a blast. Yeah, I guess, it's nowadays it's been labeled problematic because of some of the language used and stuff, but it's not glorifying that. They're just being realistic about how the shitty way people talk about other people. But, be aware of that, I guess.
I think that's like a problem you're going to find in the 90s. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a minefield.
There's stuff that was just regular lingo back then.
None of that even stood out to me back then. I watched it now and I was so aware of it.
Well, like, I love Can't Hardly Wait, but there was some slang in there that ain't cool to say.
Oh, yeah.
Not to say it was cool at the time, but it was in the regular vernacular.
It's just normal. Yeah.
In the regular vernacular then. Apologize for all of it because I probably said stuff like that, but like I'm like, oh, ooh, yeah, like Mike Dexter's somebody called me up. Yeah, that was like if you could time capsule it and you were at a party then, that shit was getting said. That would, like, if you want something to be real,
yeah,
I guess. But yeah, there will be some things, but it's a time capsule too. Not saying it was right now or then, but it's there. So yeah, be forewarned.
Yeah, but it is excellent, and you just everyone seems like they had a blast making this, which it's fun to watch.
We need a retrospective on it. That would be great.
Well, it had its 20th anniversary about 2 years ago. Which
a filmed look back.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's the thing where I'm circling back to Warner Archive. I wouldn't hate it if they made it easy to farm out their movies because they just would port over what was on disc and not do extras
they
except for
Curse of Frankenstein, they did.
And Mystery of the Wax Museum, but that's the exception to the rule. That's the exception to the rule.
Yeah,
because they should have done a commentary with me interviewing Michael Patrick Jane on this. Okay, that should
yes. Yep. There you go.
I have a lot of questions.
There you go. Yeah, should have had it right there. Yeah, they once in a while they said it back with Curse of Frankenstein. They're like, oh yeah, if this does well, it did. We'll do more. And since we've seen like Isle of the Dead got some things, but that's the only one. Like I review their titles. It's the only one I've seen with stuff. But and it's a USC professor and a restoration guy just talking about the times. So. But yeah, definitely, and it's on HBO Max for those of you non-discers.
And it's on Tubi, if you don't mind ads, and you don't want to shell out for HBO Max's fancy physical media destroying prices. Apparently, branded as a care about funding.
I have HBO Max.
Funding the enemy.
I'm an AT&T customer, so I have HBO Max for free. I haven't given them a dime.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
You're giving your money to a bigger monster.
Yes. Because I didn't want to give it to another monster, and then I don't like this monster, and we're just trapped forever. I'll just get plastic cups with strings, and if you're cool, you'll get a string, and you can connect it to a plastic cup, and we can talk. So.
All right. Enjoy your HBO Max.
All right. Okay, now we move on to what else? This is where we talk about other things we may have read, listened to, written, done, whatever. So, Stephanie, what else?
I just saw Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar. Speaking of comedies with women in them.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. You know, like nowadays the trend is high concept comedies. Like it can't just be a comedy. Like there has to be a spy
Mm-hmm.
and explosions and things like that. But it's so absurd and it has so much fun with it. It was great.
Yeah, I felt like if that one like felt like if you took like a laying like a Mike Myers script that was laying around and didn't get used and you refurbished it, like it kind of had some of that comedy that reminded me of a little bit, especially more so the spy stuff kind of felt Austin Powers-y.
Yeah.
But no, I loved my favorite part was the dates where they go on the same date. I laughed.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah, I don't know. I've been working a lot, and so I've been rewatching comfort things. I rewatched all the Nolan Batman movies, which
Okay.
is so much fun. I haven't seen them in years. And I rewatched Tango and Cash, which is one of my favorite comedy
That
action
movie
buddy
is
movies.
awesome. Don't let anyone tell
I
you.
cannot believe Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone's chemistry in that. Like they should have done an entire enormous series of movies. Like they should be on number 15 at this point.
Right. Well, I think he asked him to be in Expendables and he said no. So
I can't blame him for that. But no, I want them to be Tango and Cash forever.
Right.
Until it's grumpy old men.
Oh yeah. That movie ends on a high five, right? I think like a close up. Yeah, it's so good. So good. I love that movie. Yeah. And Nolan Batmans are great too.
Yeah, I know that's like the most popular, obvious thing to bring up, but I really have not seen them
But
in a
not
very
at the
long
same
time.
time because it's so cool to diss Christopher Nolan and diss those Batman movies now when you're high and mighty on the Twitter and stuff. Like
No, they're fantastic. Don't do that. They're so fun and so beautifully crafted. Like those movies, they give a shit. Like they really give a shit about everything.
They're well filmed and technically awesome like movies. Like I just don't like you can like those and like the Marvel ones. Did you know that?
I did. I have them all on Blu-ray. I have every Marvel movie on Blu-ray.
Right, yeah.
And those. But I still haven't seen Snyder Cut because I don't have HBO Max.
Do you have HBO Max? Well,
yeah, it's not even like
so.
Oh, okay.
So you can not have HBO Max and just wait for that 4-hour cut.
Okay. Well, I'll just say I'm very excited for the Suicide Squad.
I am too. Yeah. Looks like a lot of fun. I like the wackiness. What else? I'm gonna go with a comic book I read. It's like dated, but House of X. I read the collected thing of that. Have you read it?
No, I was thinking of House of M.
Oh.
For some reason, my brain went there.
There is a X-Men House of M.
No, I know that's what I read. That's where I went to. But yeah, okay.
I read House of X, which is like the Hickman like reset of everything X-Men. And I was like, someone was like, "Hey, I got this. You want to read?" I'm like, "All right, I read it." And I was like, "Oh, well, I need more of this." After I got done with it, I was like, "This is really." It makes Days of Future Past look like, I don't know, simple. Because it goes through like 4 different like timelines, and Moira McTaggart is this like mutant with an ability to respawn. Like when she dies, she starts her birth again from the same spot. So she's trying to figure out like how to stop mutantdom from being extinct or like something else. So sometimes she lives like thousands of years. Sometimes and it's crazy. But it only
life is so stressful for those mutants.
It is, but this is the Professor X no longer gives a fuck. Like all the mutants, like Professor X, Apocalypse, Magneto, they're all like together now. Like they have this they have their own mutants have their island, and they want to be recognized as a like national entity. And it explains why Cyclops and Wolverine and shit can be around all the time. And for like, it's crazy. Like there's this thing like there's these 5 mutants that on their own their powers are like stupid, but when you put them together, they create this process that they can clone and bring back to life people from where they last died. Like it's pretty cool. So people can go on like suicide missions and then they get brought back because Cerebro, Professor X uses, he can not only find where mutants are, but he can copy their information like a computer and re-put it back in whatever the embryos they grow up back. It's pretty interesting.
How long is it?
it's 12 issues.
Okay.
And then they break off into whatever series they're doing, but they're being smart about those. So it's like, all right, after House of X, it's House of X and Powers of X, but it was like one, and it's one whole story. But after that, it's like, okay, now there's all these like 8 different spin-off series that have their own thing, but they are collecting those in something called Dawn of X. So you get Dawn of X, so you get like X-Men issue 1, X-Force issue 1, Marauders issue 1. So like you don't have to like, you can have those all right there and not have to buy like X-Men 1 through 6, X-Force 1, and like figure it out. They're doing it like that, which is very nice. And for a guy like me, that works. So I'm into this. I like this new little world they got and their spin on people, and it's interesting so far. But yeah, House of X, high recommend. Definitely. And you don't have to know shit about X-Men before it too. It's a good clean. There's some references to things that if you're very into X-Men, it's like, oh, haha, nice. But other than that, it's a clean start.
That's a good way to do it.
I hadn't read X-Men since the 90s, so there you go.
Yeah, I have some collections back there, but I'm very behind.
Yeah, everybody does. Like, that's how I get in and out of comic books. Like, I will be, in my life, I was like really big until I went to like college. And of course, I didn't have the money to buy comics. I went to beer. And then when I lived in Los Angeles, I got back into comics for a bit. And then I moved home and I back here and I did have a job. And so, of course, I did go comics. And then I decided to get on board with when Marvel relaunched Star Wars. And then they decided we need to make like 80 billion series. And I'm like, I'm out. That's just too much for me to pay attention to. And then now here I am reading X-Men collections. So, all right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Brandon Peters Show. Stephanie, so happy you came back. I enjoy recording with you, even though we have the little errors and stuff. Oh, did I go out again? Oh my gosh. This is so good. Oh. I'll wait. Kick it.
You froze with your arms in the air.
Oh, that's great. Yes. Oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. So Brandon's never going to have me back on because of my terrible internet connection today, but it was lovely and I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Okay. Well, hey, let people know where they can keep up with your happenings before we head on out.
Oh, no one wants to do that. But I guess you can follow me on Twitter at Scrawfish.
All right. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon4KUHD, written work at whysoblu.com. There's more from the Brandon Peters Show this week. But for now, always remember to keep the positivity in your online film chatter.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.